Hey y'all, my name is Priscilla and welcome back to my channel. Today I want to talk about some books that I think would make really good gifts. I think that books are really good gifts any time of the year, but obviously we are in the holiday season, so that's kind of what's on my mind. And I just want to share some bookish love, and hopefully you will share some bookish love with the loved ones in your life. So let's go ahead and get started. So the first book that I have is called Bibliophile, an illustrated miscellanea, and it is by Jane Mount. This I think would be perfect for the book lovers in your life that you are not sure of their taste in book, or maybe what books they have recently purchased and read. This was purchased for me recently, and it was such a pleasant surprise that I wanted to talk about it and hopefully inspire others to buy it for other readers in your lives. By the way, this book totally inspired this entire video, but this video is not sponsored, so I just wanted to mention that. I would consider this a beautifully illustrated reference book. It's a wonderful conversation starter and coffee table book, but it also is beautifully designed and it looks really nice on any book collector's bookshelf. It's a semi-cloth bound, so this is like cloth here with the gold lettering. It's got a red ribbon bookmark. It's really just well made, really thick pages. And each of the lists of books in here that are surrounding a theme include a stack of books like this drawing here. So this is a curation of lists, all things bookish. There are famous book shops, there are famous public libraries. Obviously there are famous authors and snippets from authors and their own recommendations. So this was published in September this year, so I think it's the perfect time to get it for your bookish friends because it is very current. It has a lot of the authors and books that I think I would expect to see in a book like this. So you know, with N.K. Jemisin winning the 3 Nebula Awards, she's mentioned in here at least twice. Octavia Butler is in here for sci-fi, which I always am very judgmental when a book about books that mentions sci-fi doesn't mention Octavia Butler. So that was a sigh of relief. So this is just a really fun book that I am dipping in and out of all month long, and I'm hoping that maybe someone else will get it if they see this video and realize that it's a pretty good book. So the next book that I have to recommend is going to be The Little Prince, and this is specifically the 75th anniversary edition. I would recommend this for the young people in your life or the people that are just young at heart. I think that refurbished classics with reimagined covers make really great gifts, and I think that in particular this version of The Little Prince makes a great gift because it's a beloved story, first of all, but it also has a little bit of something for everyone. And this version also has a lot of supplemental information regarding the creation of the story and of the iconic elegant watercolor illustrations. And it's got snippets from other French authors and their take, and it just details the legacy of this very French but very world-renowned classic. So The Little Prince is a classic children's novel that was first published in the 1940s, and it is a part moral allegory, part autobiography, because the author, whose name I'm not gonna butcher in this video, was a pilot. And the little prince is a pilot living on a lonely planet when he begins to venture out into the universe. And for me, the message that most stuck out to me was that it's important to maintain your childhood creativity and outlook on life. And next, I'm going to talk about What It Means When a Man Falls from the Sky by Leslie Neka Arima. This is a book that I read earlier this year and that I am for sure going to purchase for myself if I don't get it for Christmas this year. So this is a debut collection that explores the relationships between people, between husbands and wives, between mothers and daughters, between fathers and daughters, between lovers. Leslie Neka Arima is a Nigerian author, and a lot of her stories take place within Nigeria. Arima is known for being able to thread and render entire relationships in very short sentences, a very short amount of words. So I think her speculative fiction is especially strong in this collection. The titular What It Means When a Man Falls from the Sky is phenomenal, and it's so complex and multi-layered. It's about a post-apocalyptic kind of world that has been ravaged by climate change and flooding, and the surviving members of the world have to flee to Africa because Africa is the only place above water. And the main character is an unlikable mathematician that is able to extract pain and emotion from people. And it's just a wonderful short story that I wish would be made into a movie. There's 12 really great, strong stories in this, and it's a great introduction to a new author. Next up, I have For Everyone by Jason Reynolds. So I would recommend this for people that are going through some sort of change or that have maybe gone through some massive loss recently. So Reynolds originally gave this speech that was later transcribed into this book at the Kennedy Center when they revealed the MLK Jr. Memorial. It's a very short, very hard-hitting kind of read. I don't think that he's doing anything groundbreaking in terms of the prose, so it's very approachable and accessible for people that may be intimidated by poetry. But I think at the same time, for poetry readers, there is a lot of heartfelt messages in it as well. It's really just a letter of encouragement and just to let you know that now is the right time and you are definitely enough. And as dreamers, you should always be dreaming. Also, just a bonus for the beautiful design of the cover and also the text in here. I think that they do really great things with the typography in here, and it's also meant to be sent on to other people from the cover. So For Everyone. Next up, I have The Poet X by Elizabeth Acevedo. I don't know exactly who I would recommend this specifically for, but I know personally that I just want to give this to a younger version of myself and to a lot of the kids in my life, a lot of my cousins. Maybe for someone that just needs inspiration or that needs to feel like they are not alone and that their voices matter. So while this is YA, that is the targeted audience, I think that a lot of readers have enjoyed this when they've read it because the prose, it is written in verse, are just so powerful. And this is written by Acevedo, who is a award-winning slam poet. And she just delivers her messages so viscerally and beautifully in a way that connects to so many people. So in essence, this is a coming-of-age story that follows teenage Xiomara, who is a Dominican American living in New York City. She becomes a part of her poetry club in high school, and she finds that as an outlet to release a lot of the anger and a lot of the feelings that she has about growing up in a very conservative Catholic household, about growing into womanhood and how it feels navigating the world under a male gaze. Xiomara often has this feeling of being too much, but then again at the same time never being enough. So this book is just an experience, and I think that's the best way to describe it. Push this into the hands and under the trees of all the young people in your life because they will probably love it. Next up, I have Drawn Together by Min Lee, and it is illustrated by Dan Santet. This is a children's picture book that I am recommending. I'm not sure who I'm recommending it to. I feel like I have a very personal connection to the story, so I would recommend it, I guess, to children of immigrants, to children of parents and grandparents who they feel disconnected to because of some sort of barrier. So this is a No Voices story from a Vietnamese author about his relationship with his grandfather. He's a young boy that's American that grows up not speaking Vietnamese, and his grandfather only speaks Vietnamese. So there is a language barrier. And they both find that they have interests in art, and they both enjoy drawing and sketching themselves in art, and they end up using their art as a means to communicate and to get to know one another. The young boy draws himself as a wizard, and the grandfather draws himself as a traditional warrior. And I love this so much because the art styles are vastly different, but they still interconnect on the page, and it's just beautiful to see these scenes. I feel like this speaks so much to people of color and also to particularly children of immigrants because it just displays so much of the confusion and the frustration that these kids feel whenever they're trying to connect to the past, to their homeland. And that's why it's really personal to me, but I really just thought it was a beautiful, gorgeous story, and I highly recommend it. Next up, I have Saga, and this is the Book 1 Deluxe Edition bind-up of the first 3 volumes. And this is by Brian K. Vaughan, and it is illustrated by Fiona Staples. Saga is very well known here on BookTube, so you're probably like, wow, what kind of recommendation is that? Everyone recommends Saga. But I feel like outside of bookish circles and outside of comic book readers, that Saga is not as well known, and thus it makes a really good gift because it has so much mass appeal for a reason. It's a wonderful series that I first read a few years ago when I was barely getting into comics and still kind of intimidated by them, and I feel like this is a great introduction to newbies to the comic book world. So Saga is an epic space opera fantasy that follows our main character Hazel, who is actually the daughter of Alana and Marco, who come from rival species and are in this never-ending galactic war against each other. So she is the product of a marriage that should never be, and because of that they are on the run. And it's all about the encounters that they have with other people and enemies and the adventures they have on other planets while still trying to maintain their family. So I also want to emphasize that this is for sure for mature readers only, because there is explicit nudity, sex, gore, and blood. And also I remember distinctly in volume 2 there is a sex planet and there is a child involved in sex slavery, so trigger warnings for that. But there's overall great themes of feminism, and there's great action sequences, and there's also great examinations of culture with the different alien species. So there's just a lot to love in this series, and that's why it's such a booktube darling, and I would recommend it to your non-bookish friends maybe even. Next up I have Lab Girl by Hope Jahren. This is a wonderful memoir about a woman who is a geobiologist. This one I'm not sure exactly who I would recommend for, so I'm just gonna say people that like memoirs or that like the dialogue involved in personal conversations in certain books and certain essays and certain writings. Hope Jahren is not only a scientist, but she comes from an English background, so I felt like her prose were very lyrical and very beautiful in a way that's hard to do when you're writing about science, when you're writing about trees and plants and subjects that can be very boring very quickly. And it's sort of a coming of age story because it follows her through college up through her entirety of her career, and she just effortlessly weaves stories about her personal and professional life. She's got like a brilliant partner and lifelong friend. It talks about her coming up in STEM as a woman and her coming of age as being not sure what she was going to do with her life, but how she just loves science so much and she fights for it every day. And she draws such unexpected connections with plant life and human life that just I thought were really well done, and after reading this you're gonna go want to plant a tree for sure. So next I have another picture book, and this is Little Leaders, Bold Women in Black History by Vashti Harrison. So I would recommend this for readers that are young and old that appreciate biographies and that just want to learn a little something new. The art is especially adorable, but also the biography selections are really well written and informative as well. But this picture book features stories from 40 trailblazing African American women. Some of them are well known, like Sojourner Truth or Oprah or Harriet Tubman, and some of them are less known. I was introduced, for instance, to Mary Bowser and Alice Ball. It's just a delightful read about pioneers, and it tells a little bit about each of their backstories, about growing up and about their achievements and their accomplishments, and then it ends off with their legacies. This started as a passion project for her of drawing female Black women that she just hadn't seen, and I'm really glad that she ended up creating this book because you can tell how much passion she puts into her work. And last but certainly not least, I have Cersei by Madeline Miller. This will come to no surprise to all of you watching that have booktube channels yourselves, because I think that this is one of the few books that won the Goodreads Choice Awards, but also has won the hearts of seemingly everyone on booktube. I have yet to see a negative take on this book. So Cersei is the reimagined story of Cersei, a witch that is the daughter of Helios and who is known mostly from classical Homeric tales as the witch that turned men into pigs. So this book really doesn't have much plot. It is certainly a story that is driven by the main character's coming of age and growth, but because there is such a beautiful attention to metaphor and to the inspiration from the classical writings, it's really just won the hearts of so many people, mine included. So the author is a graduate of classics, and I think that because of that, because of her background, she just is definitely very skilled and knowledgeable and informative of classical stories, of classical epics, and she really does flex on us with these kinds of stories. I love that Miller focuses her narratives on characters that were deemed irrelevant, and unnecessary even, because we end up getting very ambitious but very beautiful works of art like this. So yeah, Cersei would make a great gift for so many people. Okay, and that is the last book that I have to talk about today. So I hope that you saw something that you liked or maybe would like to buy and share with someone in your life. Please let me know in the comments below if there was a book that you saw that you liked or that you read this year and what you thought about it. So that's all I have for today's video. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to catch you in the next one. Bye.